in a small town nestled between hills. There lived a boy named Ali. Ali wasn't like the other kids at school. While they breezed through exams and passed every test with ease, Ali struggled. No matter how hard he tried, he would always fall short, especially in his math exam. He had failed the same exam 3 times already. And each time, the sting of disappointment grew sharper. His classmates began to mock him, and even his teachers lost hope. Some whispered that Ollie just wasn't smart enough, while others claimed he was simply too lazy. But Ollie wasn't lazy. He would stay up late every night, revisiting every formula and trying to solve every problem. Yet, when exam day came, his mind would go blank. The paper in front of him seemed like a battlefield, and he, a soldier without weapons. After his 3rd failure, Ollie felt like giving up. He stared at his math book one evening, tears welling up in his eyes. Maybe everyone's right, he thought. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But as he sat there in the quiet of his room, his grandfather walked in. A wise old man with deep lines on his face. He had always been Ali's biggest supporter. Noticing the defeated look in his grandson's eyes, he sat beside him and asked, "What's wrong, Ali?" "I've failed again, Grandpa," Ollie replied, barely able to hold back his tears. "I've studied, I've tried, but I just can't pass. Maybe I'm just not smart enough." His grandfather listened patiently and then, with a gentle smile, said, "Do you know the story of the stonecutter?" Ollie shook his head. There was once a stonecutter who wanted to break a huge rock. Every day, he would take his hammer and strike the rock, but nothing happened. He hit it once, twice, 10 times, 100 times, yet the rock didn't even crack. People began to laugh at him, saying his efforts were useless. But the stonecutter kept striking the rock every day. On the 101st strike, the rock suddenly split into 2. Ollie listened intently, unsure of where the story was going. His grandfather continued. It wasn't the last strike that broke the rock, Ali. It was all the strikes before that. Even though they seemed to have no effect. Success isn't about one big effort. It's about persistence, about never giving up. Even when it feels like you're not making progress. Ollie felt a spark of hope light up in his heart. His grandfather placed a hand on his shoulder. "You've already hit the rock many times, Ali. You're closer than you think. The only way you'll fail is if you stop trying." With renewed determination, Ali decided to give the exam one more shot. But this time, he approached it differently. Instead of cramming all night and exhausting himself, he focused on understanding the concepts. He asked for help when he didn't understand something and practiced every day. Even when it felt repetitive. The day of the exam arrived once more. Ali sat in his seat, his heart pounding. But this time, instead of fear, he felt a quiet confidence. He had prepared, he had persisted, and he knew he had done everything he could. When the results were announced a week later, Ollie could hardly believe his eyes. He had passed. Not just barely, but with flying colors. The same classmates who once mocked him now looked at him with admiration. As he stood there, clutching his results, Ollie realized something important. It wasn't just the exam he had conquered. It was his own self. The journey had taught him that failure wasn't the end, but merely a stepping stone to success. And from that day on, whenever life presented a challenge, Ollie would think of the stonecutter and his 100 strikes, knowing that persistence, not talent, was the key to breaking through any obstacle. Moral of the story: success is not about never failing, but about never giving up. Persistence, even in the face of repeated failure, is what leads to true victory.